This is CHSR 97.9 FM here in Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada, and you're listening to Python's Paradise, your film and music show. And this is your host, Greg Gilbert, a.k.a. the Python Hyena. And folks, I've had a lot of the Friday the 13th alumni here on the show, and it's always nice to get the heroines on here, you know. I've had Adrienne King on here from the original. I've had the gorgeous Melanie Kinnaman on here from A New Beginning. And I've had various actors from the series on here. Did four interviews from Jason Lives for its 30th anniversary this year. And, I got my first from Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. And I gotta say, she's gorgeous, she's beautiful, she's talented, and she moved more than objects in that movie. She moved hearts as well. I'm talking about the beautiful Lar Park Lincoln. How do you do, Lar?
Hi, Greg. It is that was a beautiful introduction. Thank you. I'll take that any day of the week that ends in Y, right?
Yeah. Well,
thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm so honored to have you on here, and I'm really glad you were patient with me, because I know I messaged you back in January, you know, and you were very busy, but it's been like better part of 2 years, but patience paid off, and here we are.
You are a very dedicated man, and I have to tell you, it was probably I need to thank you more on this end. We get requests for different podcasts and different things, and they go on a list, and I kind of say that the top 50 emails out of maybe 600 or 700 a day start getting attention back, and you hung in there, went through a few assistants, and finally got me. So I'm the one that's thrilled to be here today.
Well, we've been on the friends on Facebook for a very long time. I can't believe how long. And yet, I hope one day to meet you, but I've never been outside New Brunswick.
Are you kidding me?
I've never. Do you know where Fredericton, or the New Brunswick area in Canada is?
Yeah, I'm sure I did not have that class in school. So, no, I don't know. But I've been everywhere, so...
Yeah, it's a little small province in Canada, handy to Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but the closest we have to trailer celebrities are the Trailer Park Boys. Are you familiar with them?
I'm not, but who knows?
You're the first person from Texas area that doesn't know who they are.
Well, Texas is as big as several states, so we kind of count it as as more than one state. So. That's probably the reason, but I'm an Army brat, so I've traveled all over the place, everywhere.
Oh, perfect.
And like it, yeah.
Wow. Well, you know what? I saw Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood, back in 1988 when it was in theaters. I'm 44 years old, but I was 16 when my older brother and I went to that movie, and he was not quite 18 and I was 16. How we got in to see that, I don't know.
Well, they really weren't that strict, so.
I just remember there was a guy dressed up as Jason ripping the tickets.
Oh my gosh, how fun is that?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I went to the premiere with a group of friends and wore a pair of big glasses thinking no one would recognize me, and I was incorrect, so I got chased out of the theater and down the street. It scared me to death, but it was definitely an introduction to what would follow after playing such an iconic character.
Yeah. Well, give us a little bit of your background.
Well, I have been acting or working on camera for 41 years. So I started young. I actually got my first paying jobs in the business at 15. And a constant joke, which is a chapter in my book also, is called I Was 19 for 10 years. Because I looked so young, I just kept playing teenagers until finally I aged up on not slanting a little bit. And so that's how my career has spanned so many years.
Well, you know what? You've aged beautifully, so I'll say that.
Well, thank you. It's good genes, I imagine. Good. Passed down good genes and taking care of yourself. That's what it is. Take care of yourself, and you'll look pretty good for a long time.
What's your recommendations on that?
Well, I really believe in a lot of skin acids. I've worked in the beauty industry a long time. Was a guest celebrity host on QVC for 19 years, which is the best of all beauty. And I just debuted my own skincare line, NVY, on it's called the LC channel here in the States. And I believe in using a lot of acids and scrubbing, exfoliating every day, and masks. And my face has never seen the sun. So that really is, I think, part of it. I think that's a big part. Male and female need to be doing those things. So, don't smoke. I mean, that really ruins your face. So, not to say I don't have a million other bad habits, but messing with my face is not one of them. So.
Yeah, I remember when I had Melanie Kinnaman on there, one thing she suggested is avoid sodas.
Yeah, I haven't had a soda since I was 18. So, but a lot of us in this industry have pretty specific diets, because we've studied nutrition and we know what keeps your body looking the best. So kind of like if you don't want to look preserved and wrinkly, maybe you should stay away from the fries at the Golden Arches. That would probably be a wise thing to do. So, so most of us in the industry, I would say, really watch out for what's going in, because it definitely will show. But the rest of it's just having really good genes. It's my daughter is a young actress, and she's worked all her life also, and she also looks incredibly young. So I think it's a lot of it's part of just being in the family, and the rest of it, getting some good scrubs, and good skincare doesn't have to cost a lot. It really doesn't. So it's definitely out there for people to use and try and scrub that face every day, every single day.
What does your daughter think about your battles with the famous hockey mask killer Jason?
Well, my children were not allowed to even see the film until they were, I think my son saw it at 11, and she's 3 years older. He would not have seen it at 11, but all of his friends had already seen it. So I did set up a time for him to actually watch it, and mostly he was just screaming, "Mom, why are you running up the stairs? Why are you running towards the monster?" And I'd say, "It's because I have to turn the page, Trevor. I'm an actor. I have to turn the page." And they just grew up with it being so normal that I never thought our house was really that unusual. It's the actor's house, even though it's kind of still a normal suburban house. It's still an actor's home, because she and I both work, and I have the acting studio. So I think that they just got really used to it. It's not unusual for them. So, which I think is pretty normal for any kids that have acting parents or political parents or something like that.
Yeah, and of course you played telekinesis Tina. They call it Carrie versus Jason.
Right.
And of course, I know from reading Peter Brackey's book, you were a big fan of the series prior to this.
I was a huge fan of the series, and I love good scary movies. And at the time when Part 7 was being done, they had it under a fake name called Birthday Bash, what was on the script and the notices. And the studios and directors had gone round and round quite a while before they were settling on the actors. And I went in, I think, pretty late into the casting process, and went and met the casting director and director in a very tiny little room. I could barely turn around in it. And they usually want you to do the most emotional scenes, of course, to see what you can do. And all I had was the material with me. I had not read the full script, but my husband had read the script. And when I got home, he said, "This is Jason. This is not a birthday bash." I'm like, "Oh, it's not." He goes, "No, it is," because he knew it so well. He's like, "You've got to get this show for me. Please give it to me as my present." And I was like, "Okay." And then I booked it. So he was over the moon, that I was going to get to play against Jason. And I was over the moon, too. It was so much fun.
Did you have a favorite Friday the 13th prior to that?
The first and second were my favorite. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I've told this story before, but the things you learn from Friday the 13th, the first one I saw was part 2, and I got baited into watching it by my cousins, and I would have been, I don't know, I would have been 11 when part 2 came out, so I would have been just a young teen when they were watching it they rented it, and there was like 2 or 3 kills in the movie. But it was the scene where Kirsten Baker is walking naked into the lake that my mom rushes in and turns the television off. And it was the first time I'd seen a nude woman.
Oh, no. Well, that whole movie freaked you out then.
Well, it was the first time I realized, like, at that age, you're not interested in the opposite sex, or anything like that. You're into boy stuff or girl stuff or whatever, depending on the gender you are. So my cousins were a little bit out there, so they get a kick out of it. But my mom wasn't too pleased. But it's like...
Well, that's why I didn't have my children watch it. I had to wait until they were the right age, and then finally I was just forced into it because so many of their friends talked about it. And we would have I'm a big Halloween person. I love the holidays of Halloween, and so one of the unusual things is we would always really decorate our yard and do Halloween and stuff up right, and it would be so much fun when people didn't know it was me and they'd come up in Friday the 13th costumes, and I'd usually be hiding in the bushes or something with a microphone and saying things, scary through the walls or whatever. It was so much fun. So
you kind of
kids got to play with that early.
You kind of do the Donald Pleasance thing from Halloween where you go, "Get your ass away from there."
Kind of. It was kind of like that. I would have a visual so that I could really scare them as they came up on the porch, or it was just really fun decorating the whole front. So I found that an ice box or a refrigerator box because we had just bought one year, makes a terrific fake coffin. And so we painted it black. And then during the night, different kids or people would get in it and, be the bodies that jumped up and ran around. So that was a lot of fun. Yeah. And then I love going to haunts. I have a friend that owns a big haunt here in Texas, so I love to go make appearances for him in the haunts and just kind of step out from somewhere. And I don't like to scream so much in person anymore, so I have it on my site as a download, and then we'll just play it as it's going through so I don't lose my voice. And that's a lot of fun, too.
Well, you played Tina, of course, the telekinesis girl, and boy, that trip into the country, into the woods, was supposed to be, downtime, but boy, old Terry Kaiser just drove you up the wall.
Well, that was a whole setup with that guy. So, it was just a complete setup. Of course, the mother, played by Sue Blue, didn't have any idea that he was doing that. And Tina wasn't really she wasn't a bad character or an evil character. She was just a mentally disturbed character. And of course, then she ended up back where all of the trauma started, which just added more to it. And so she was, I just wanted to play her with a sense of innocence about her so that her shock at everything that happened was just based so deeply in her soul when she was disturbed and looking at what was going on. So I didn't try to play her extremely tough or extremely badass or even that she knew what was happening. I tried to play it more like it was a nightmare to her, but she wasn't going to be overtaken by this. So that was my goal, and I think she did turn out pretty much with that innocence that kind of grew into a strength out of need. So it's really a story within a story, don't you think?
Sure.
Yeah.
Is there any particular scene in the movie that was really, really hard to do?
Really, really hard. Falling on the pier at the end was hard because we did it over and over, and I got pretty banged up on that, and it was cold. It's always cold when you're shooting a horror movie. That was physically hard, but the interior scenes shot in outside of Los Angeles were difficult only because the smoke that's used to make the interior atmosphere kind of party-ish, and shooting inside all day. And as an actor, for me, I didn't want her to just be crying through the entire film. So Tina had different levels of crying, and so I made a lot of really specific notes so that when we would start some scenes at one place, or pick up a scene at another place, or start a scene in LA and finish it in Alabama, and then go back to LA and work on it again, that the tears were matching, because I didn't use any artificial fake tears. So as an actress, that was a challenge, and I was happy with the result of it. But when it's really that cold, it's kind of hard to cry tears and make them continue to stay real. But I would say that those were the hard things on my end. You know, I didn't have to really do a lot of the stunt work that Kane did, obviously. So it was a little different.
Yeah, it was fun watching you do the telekinesis stuff, you know. And
loved it. Yeah. I had so much fun doing that. We were in a very small space in that basement. It was really tiny. And because fire is real, and of course Kane is an expert in fire, and so our clothes were soaked in fire retardant. We had a couple of different sets of clothes, the clothes that got dirty in the beginning, and then the middle scene clothes and the end clothes. And so those were really soaked in fire retardant, and then the gas spewing across. I don't know what the substance was for the gas that spewed out, but the fire itself, of course, was real. We were in a very small environment, and I loved doing the nails, and I loved the trees surrounding his legs. I had a lot of fun with those special effects.
Yeah, Kane Hodder ended up playing Jason in 4 of the films. I felt really sad that he didn't get to play in Freddy versus Jason, you know?
Yeah, everybody did, including himself, and that was just one of those studio decisions. You know, a lot of times people think actors have a lot more control than we do of what's done. And here's something I teach my students. It's kind of like, you know, when you're an actor and the film is a success, the actors get all of the credit. You know, we don't write it, score it, direct it, edit it, market it, but we get all the credit for it. But then if a film really falls flat and doesn't work, we get all of the blame, even if we didn't write it, score it, direct it, market it. You know, it's the same thing. So it's the person's face that's on there that either gets all the credit or all the blame, when in reality, it's a huge crew with a lot of other actors creating the scenes, because if you don't have that, you don't have a movie. So even though they work really 10 times as hard as the actors, because their hours are longer, the crews and whatever, they don't really get the fame or the blame, you know. And generally actors don't have a lot to say about the way a film is done or comes out unless we're part of the production team on it. So, you know, we're out there working and doing auditions and trying to get the next best role we can that we love, and then we have to kind of throw it out in the universe and hope it turns out well. So Kane was great in the role, and he probably should have stayed with him. Right.
I agree, and I think he had said before that, I haven't had him on here, but I know through reading stuff that he said that Part 7 was his favorite time playing Jason.
Yeah, it was. I mean, he did well. He was able to bring his character to life because the eyes were still, you know, movable, the contact lens and stuff he wore. So he was able to kind of cock his head and be the character as opposed to just stomping around in the woods. Although I think C.J. Graham in Part 6 also did a really terrific job. So, you know, it was just a really neat role, super fun to play. Although I got to tell you, I am not going to play a monster that requires that I have to be completely in a prosthesis makeup every day. Can you imagine having to do that every day? Oh, my God. No, I can't. I can't do that, and I can't work in water. So I have to pass on those things.
No, but no, I think the only Jason, I have had one Jason actor on here. I had Ted White on here back in February.
Yeah.
And what an amazing story he told, and he just sung praises to Kane Hodder.
Yeah. Was Kane the stunt person on his? No, I don't think he was.
No, he was in the final chapter, and he was a stuntman.
Okay.
He was a stuntman. In fact, in the interview, like, he talks about doubling for people like back in the past, from John Wayne to Clark Gable.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, the behind-the-scenes stuff is really cool. And I think that, I love the behind-the-scenes because you don't really know everything going on. And even as actors, we don't know how it's going to turn out. So we go to work and shoot, a piece of this scene and a piece of that thing. Most people know it's all shot out of order. They might not know why, though. And the reason it's shot out of order is it's just the way the sets are set up. So they don't have to turn all the cameras around and shoot the other way back and forth during the day. So you might shoot the beginning of a scene at one point and the end of the scene days later when they've turned around to shoot the other side of the building or the room. So, you just do your very best and hope that, the editor makes the movie. So you just really hope that the editor, number one, loves your face, loves what you're doing, and can pull that story together the best way possible.
Yeah, and another thing about Kane Hodder, too, and this was a sad thing about Freddy versus Jason, is that Kane loved playing the character,
Right.
Yeah, like,
right.
he lived for it.
Have you read his autobiography yet?
I haven't, and it's funny because I've had Mike Aloisi that
oh, yeah.
I've had him on.
Fabulous.
Oh, he said good stuff about you.
Oh, that's so nice. He wants to finish co-writing and producing one of my books. I have a couple of different books, but one is a parenting book, and he has young kids and really likes what I'm putting together with a parenting book. And I got to tell you, just reading through the introduction pages of Kane's book is spellbinding. You can't believe the stuff this man went through and how he rose from it. And really good book. I'd recommend that anybody read it. It's called Unmasked.
Yes.
I believe it's the name.
Yeah.
Really, really a strong story all the way through. Really strong. So.
Yeah, I got to read that. I had Mike on here back in September, and yep, he was the publisher of David Grove, who wrote a book called On Location in Blairstown, The Making of Friday the 13th, and Tom Savini had forwarded his book, and I said, is there any chance you can connect me with Tom Savini? And he said, well, I'll give you the email address to my publisher. And what he didn't tell me is his publisher, Mike Aloisi, this Clark Kent turned out to be Superman, because Mike Aloisi says to me in an email, he says, don't know when you can get Tom Savini, but I'll come on your show if you want to. And then he starts telling me he worked for Marvel, and I was like, David Grove never told me any of this. I had a great chat with him.
Oh, my gosh, that is great. Well, you just never know. I mean, we just don't know,
Yeah.
things people do until you just start really having a conversation with them. We just don't know.
And, of course, John Carl, how do you pronounce his last name? Buechler?
John Carl Buechler.
Buechler, okay. He,
Yep.
I know he has a lot of regrets that he's not able to do an uncut version of this movie, because he said so much went on the cutting room floor with Part 7.
Luckily, mine didn't. I was really lucky that my scene stayed. Mine stayed. A lot of it, I mean, there was a whole sequence where Tina was seeing things before they happened, and that was really a critical part of the show, but the way it was edited, you can't tell that. So there's a little bit with the mom that you don't actually see, although there's a line left in that a fan at a convention once said to me. The line was that Tina said was, I just saw my mother, we have to go find her. I'm like, well, yeah, that kind of doesn't make sense. But it's because she saw everything as a premonition, and then they got rid of that storyline, and his hands were pretty tied through it. But I think the series itself had different people that came in and were in charge of different parts of the shows. I just love John, and through Friday the 13th, I was able to work with Tommy Lee, who directed Part 6. And then offered me the role in Freddy's Nightmares. after my
Okay.
Friday the 13th. That was Nancy's husband, of course. You just
Yeah,
you
I've
interviewed Nancy.
actually had Tom McLaughlin, Nancy McLaughlin both on here.
Yeah, I just adore them, and so you just never know what's going to happen. And that was just a great little turn of events, how we all came to know each other, and the different background stories and all are so much fun to hear.
Yeah. And of course, Terry Kaiser, of course, I
Yeah.
I made a joke about him because I had Catherine Mary Stewart on here October of 2015. Of course, she was in Weekend at Bernie's, and we got talking about Terry Kaiser. I said, yeah, he played a corpse prior to Weekend at Bernie's.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in your film.
Oh, well, yes, he did. Of course, I don't think they went back to him much after he was dead in our film.
Yeah, he apparently I guess this scene got cut and edited really bad, like John was talking about, but he got that nasty buzzsaw kill.
Yes, he did, and we were so thrilled about that too. So we were just so happy about that. But you know what's funny? Here's a little piece of trivia for you.
Okay.
Terry Kaiser, who is just an incredibly wonderful, delicious actor, fabulous. My main acting school is in Dallas, and
Okay.
Terry coaches in Austin, Texas.
Okay.
And we have two completely opposite styles that work together really well. And he and I have gotten to see each other a few times over the last couple of years, and we both ended up so close to each other. Working so close to each other. I think that's just a great piece of trivia.
Wow. Yeah. Of course, in the New Blood, you couldn't wait to get away from him because you hurled
Exactly.
the TV.
Tina was figuring out that, excuse me, there's a problem with this guy, right? He had a lot of ulterior motives. So, yeah,
Of course.
not a good guy.
Yeah.
In the movie.
And Susan Blue played your mom. She was,
Oh yeah, Sue Blue, who does every voice of cartoons and characters you can imagine.
yeah, and I got Kevin Blair's name down there, but I guess his last name is different now, isn't it?
Yeah, he went to Spiritus, Kevin Spiritus, after the filming, and I'd have to say he's a dear friend of mine now, mostly based in New York. He does a lot of Broadway theater. He's a singer, performer, worked on Days of Our Lives as a soap, and really a neat guy, absolutely.
And unfortunately, Susan Jennifer Sullivan no longer with us.
Right.
Yeah, she was the bad girl.
Know. I think she died in her 40s, but I've never received any actual information. I didn't know her family well, but she was pretty new to the acting business when she shot our film, and very sweet person. John had to work with her a lot to make her come across as evil.
Yeah.
Right.
You had some interesting players over there at the house too. Like Jeff Bennett stands out as quote unquote star mummy.
Yeah. He really was a standout. I haven't followed his career, so I don't know what he ended up doing, but I think he had a lot of really fun essences as the character himself.
Yeah, his character was always high, but I remember when I saw it in the theater, he had all the strips of party paper all over. He goes, "Star Mummy" or something like that.
Yeah, we had some really good characters in that show. We really did.
Yeah, and of course William Butler, of course, went on to be in Texas Chainsaw, one of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies, and he
right,
was
and
in
he's done so much since. I mean, Billy, as we call him, is a living doll. He has just done so many projects. Right, he's just really interesting.
And we have, of course, Diana Burrows and Heidi Kosak and
right,
and Elizabeth Catan.
Yeah, Elizabeth Caton. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any thoughts on them?
haven't seen them in so long. I've kept up with Elizabeth a little bit. I used to run into her in Beverly Hills when we were getting our hair done back in the day. So that was always fun. She was the one that ended up getting hypothermia on the set working in the water. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So,
She had that scene where she got pulled under.
right. I mean, it was really, really cold out there. Just really, really, really cold. Which is funny because people are always kind of like, how it's amazing what you can do when you're that cold or even hot. Good actors know how to control their bodies, but after a while, you are just freezing in that situation. So, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and of course, the year before you did Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood, you were in, of course, House 2, The Second Story, which is going to celebrate its 30th anniversary next year.
I know. We just, they came here to my studio about 2 weeks ago, and we shot a video commentary that they're putting together for the first 3 houses. And it was just great and really exciting because I had my poster from it, and I also had some artifacts that I kept from doing the show. So I think it looks really neat, and I can't wait to see how the commentary comes out as they traveled all around interviewing everyone.
I thought House 2 was a funny movie, and I liked the fact that it was took a different take than the original House. But I'm going to tell you one thing that always bugs me when I watch it, and it just frustrates me because sometimes when you're watching a movie, you're watching something, you're like, I would not have done that, And one scene, and this bugs me to death, and my apologies, but you'll probably get what I'm saying. You got, is it Ari Gross? Is that his name? Ari, okay. You got him and Jonathan Stark in the kitchen. And then you got you, and you get Amy Yasbeck, and you get Bill Maher. And, of course, Bill Maher is being you just want to kick him out of there. But all these accusations get flown, and you and Yasbeck end up walking out of there, And it frustrates me every time when he goes to the cupboard, hauls it open, there's a pterodactyl, and he turns to Jonathan Stark and goes, "That's a prehistoric bird." And I'm like, why didn't you open the cupboard while your wife was in there? Don't let the gorgeous, beautiful, stunning Lar Park Lincoln march out of there. I would not have let you leave.
Well, I gotta tell you, he opens the cupboard and it's Jane Modine, for God's sake, and she was like an idol of mine, and so getting to do that scene and having her in the closet, I just absolutely loved it. I had a great time.
Oh, she was great, yeah. But I would not have let you walk out. That always bugged me, because I'm like, if he, you had the pterodactyl in there, and I don't know. I keep wondering, if there's something they could have done differently.
Oh, no. Kate had enough. She had just had enough of all of that behavior. So she was just not going to put up with that anymore.
Yeah, but I got to wonder where the movie would have went had they opened the cupboard and you saw the bird.
If he had really been able to convince her that was going on, and all of the antics going around were true, then we might have had a very different film. We might have had some even more fun stuff going on. So,
yeah,
hard to say.
All they had to do was open the cupboard. Oh. It's so frustrating.
Like my son saying, "Mom, don't run up the stairs." And Kane was in House 2 with me.
I know, he was the gorilla.
That's right. We were in 2 films together. So, I've been really lucky when I go back and look at the overall career. I was just putting some new clips and things up on what are called, the actor sites for my agents and managers. I'm not completely 100% back into acting because I don't know what kind of roles that I want to do. And I did one over the summer, a science fiction over the summer that was really cool. It's called Expulsion.
Okay.
And I really liked that character, but I went back over a lot of different things, and I was putting clips of the different stars that I've actually worked with, and I got to work with Rod Taylor from The Birds.
Yes.
I got to work with him on a TV series, and that was really cool. That was
something?
awesome.
Speaking of The Birds, I had Alfred Hitchcock's granddaughter on this podcast back in May.
Oh, wow. So has she carried on the family business, or what does she do?
She doesn't carry it on. I've got the interview on my YouTube channel, and she talked about what it was like to have Alfred Hitchcock as a grandfather, and
Right.
I asked her various questions like when she knew that something was different about her grandfather and this and that, and I played a little game with her too. I told her that. Pick her top 5 favorite films that her grandfather had done, and I picked my top 5, and we'd go down them during the interview, and she thought that was fun, but she was very down to earth.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I got that on my
YouTube
YouTube
he was
channel.
a pretty tough guy to work for, the women that worked with him.
Yeah, I'd said that he worked with one of the most gorgeous women I ever seen, which was Grace Kelly.
Yes, who in my mind I pretend to be. I would say, growing up as a young girl, how did I pattern my career? And it was Jessica Lange and Grace Kelly and Meryl Streep and, just a whole long list of cool blondes that were able to create really interesting long-term careers. And so, yeah, that was... And Jimmy Stewart, who I actually got to meet and work with. I have a picture with Jimmy Stewart, who's truly the love of my life. Got to meet and work with him in his later years. So I guess I've had a little touch, a few degrees of separation from the very stars I wish I could have been or pretended to be. So that's what I pretend in my mind.
Speaking of Jimmy Stewart, I was at a screening of It's a Wonderful Life just last night.
Well, you must know that's my favorite film in the entire world.
Well, I'm going to be attending it Thursday night and Christmas Eve as well. They're doing 3 screenings up there of it.
I'm so jealous. I'll just fly up tomorrow. It's my favorite movie. On Thanksgiving, we watch Twilight Zones, and on Christmas, I think It's a Wonderful Life plays 5 million times. I absolutely adore the film, and I swear I still find things, every time I watch it. It was such an incredible film, and of course, it came out to just a critical mess when they released it, and
Yep.
Of course, now it is such the...
Yeah, it's 70 years old this year.
What is that?
It's 70 years old this year.
Oh, it just can't possibly be.
Yeah, it came out in 1946.
Wow, that was over 20 years before I was even born.
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting? You can find a movie that you just hold on forever, and they're timeless. So, one of my students just did a film. His name's Colton Tapp, and he is really dynamic and doing a lot of work. And he just did a film called 3 Days in August.
Okay.
And it starred Barry Bostwick, Mariette Hartley, and Meg Foster.
Okay.
And it is the story of a family that comes together for a few days, and there's an adoption situation in the film. And it's really a character-driven piece, no effects, just the character-driven piece. And the scenery in the background, I got to go to it at the premiere on the red carpet. It's just phenomenal, just a really phenomenal film. And another one coming out is called Shotgun Honey with another of my students, and it's about a woman and her husband with Alzheimer's. But wow, just looking at character-driven pieces, I hope that there's just more and more of them as we go forward. Younger people are really surprised to watch them and realize how involved they can get in one,
Yeah. Going back to House 2, I was wondering, what was it like working with Jonathan Stark? Because I thought he was a standout, funny guy in that movie.
I thought he was, too. He was just really, he was a very Jim Carrey-ish kind of
It's what he reminded me of, too, Jim Carrey, especially the gun lighter joke.
He really did. He had a really quirky, I guess, kind of personality, and I really liked him. I had a really nice time working with him. I liked everyone. I loved Amy Yazbek, and so I would say I had a really great time, working with the whole cast. Really.
And you worked with Royal Dano.
Oh my gosh! Now Royal Dano, I believe I'm right with this. I hope I am. I hate to say it on radio if I'm not in an interview, but Royal Dano played the voice of Abraham Lincoln at Disney.
Okay.
I believe, if I'm correct on that. And of course, my last name being Lincoln, that was really cool because I, got to go listen to the voice. And I'm pretty sure it was Royal Dano. I'm kind of remembering that. It was a while back, but I'm kind of remembering how that went.
He had one of the best lines in the film where he goes, "I'm not going to die if it's the last thing I do."
That's good.
Yeah. And of course, John Ratzenberger playing the electrician / adventurer.
So good. And, really, didn't they do a great job with just the entire cast, right? It was done really well. I think it was just done really, really, really well. So.
Well, it made sense because George Wendt was in the first house, so his Cheers partner had to be in the second one.
Right. I mean, it was perfect, right?
Yeah.
So, we don't know all of that when we're being cast because we're all just kind of cast separately, and then they pull us together. So, it's exciting when you get to it and see what pulls it all together. Yeah.
I just wondering, when you got the script for House 2, were you originally supposed to walk out of there, or did they have something different planned originally?
Yeah, she originally walked out. It was written very much the way it was played. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
very
man.
That way.
Brings tears to my eyes when you walk out of there. I would.
Well, I'm just lucky as an actress that I've had a career that people have actually enjoyed watching over and over. How awesome is it that you can have a career where you've done a little bit of everything and people actually enjoy your work and can tell you that. You wake up and kind of go, wow, you didn't realize that, we watch movies for all kinds of different reasons, and sometimes people will say it was just on a day they were feeling bad and they enjoyed it, or they'll just say they love the character for whatever reason, and it just makes you feel amazing as an actor. It does. And with the internet and all the social media today, people can correspond with us, and we can talk with them and get to know them. And being a coach, of course, I found a lot of new actors that would have maybe never had a way in the industry, and get to meet them, different creative people, and it's just really a cool thing to be able to play characters that people are enjoying. Even though most people say they love to hate me from the characters I've played, or they hate to love me, or one of those things.
And you were also in a little movie called Princess Academy, which I actually have not seen this. Tell us about this movie.
Well, Princess Academy was literally like a foreshadowing of Princess Diaries. It was very similar, and it was shot in fact, I did Princess Academy. I had been offered Friday Part 8, and they were not giving me a script, and I did not want to be one of the heroines that died a few minutes into the next series of the film. So I wanted to read the script, and that was just a no. And so I got offered Princess Academy that was going to shoot in Yugoslavia.
Okay.
And I'm like, I think I'm just going to bebop over to Yugoslavia in the middle of winter and see what it's like to be. It was cold.
Oh. Is it true you wrote your own Tina Friday the 13th story? Like, you did that, didn't you?
I did, and I went actually and physically pitched it to Paramount. For Part 8. They, decided they didn't want it, and that's when I decided to do Princess Academy. And, I felt I had a pretty strong script, and then I wrote another Friday 8 as Tina grew up and became a psychiatrist herself. and went through dealing with her daughter who has the powers. And unfortunately, it's just really difficult to get the films made. I mean, who owns what and what owns who and all of that. And so there've been a lot of good scripts that people have done that whoever is in charge has passed on for whatever reason. We don't know. So I was interested in doing 8 when I couldn't even read it. It didn't make any sense to me. And I know other actresses had taken on, the next one, and their character was killed off. And that didn't make any sense to me. So,
you want me to tell you something? I had Terry McMinn from Texas Chainsaw Massacre on here back in August. And one thing she does is she writes has 2 or 3 short stories about Pam, her character, the meat hook victim, crawling out and escaping, and what happened with Pam. And I was just kind of thinking you should probably write your Jason treatment as something for the fans.
Oh yeah, it's been done and out there, and I've talked about it at different conventions and different types of things. It's just, I don't know. Has she done it recently, or did she do it a long time ago?
I don't know when she did them, but I know you can purchase them on her website or Facebook page. She's got a special Pam Chainsaw Facebook page, and and I thought it was kind of cool that she offers these what if, and she says as far as she's concerned, Pam got out.
Right. Well, I think that's really interesting. I'll have to check that out. Thanks for that fun little interesting tip.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting thing. I do have a doll. There is a doll, and that's a lot of fun. To grow up and kind of be a Barbie of some sort.
A Lar Park Lincoln doll? I didn't know that.
No, a Tina doll.
Oh, a Tina doll.
There is a Tina doll. Yeah, I have an artist that actually makes them one by one, so I never have more than a couple at a time, which is really cool and super fun.
Wow.
But yeah, that story idea might be just a really super fun thing. I'll have to look at that. I'll have to think about that.
Yeah, that would be an idea. And I like the heroines best in the movies. I always had a favorite female in every one of the Friday the 13th movies because they're nicer to look at than Jason.
Well, especially in mine. One of the fans on my website had done a compilation of the heroines, and right now, gosh, I don't know if you saw it, but I absolutely cannot remember. The music he put to it was hysterical. And Adrian and a lot of us watched it and clicked it and told him go guys. But he put the heroines running through whatever their thing was with this really fun music. He was just great. Can't think of who it is right now, but I know it's on the Facebook somewhere. You've got to try to find that and watch it.
I'll have to. One last film I wanted to mention was Inspector Mom. I saw some clips of that. That looked funny. It was a series of films. It was 2 films and then a series of films for Lifetime. Okay.
And I had dyed my hair red at the time, and I was playing this mother who was extremely excessive with her money in suburbia and doing a really overblown child's birthday party type of thing. And it was fun. Part of it was difficult because we had to do ballroom dancing, and ballroom dancing and making your head turn and say lines at the same time, not the easiest thing. But we shot that here in Dallas. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And
yeah.
It starred the girl that played Maddie. Was it Maddie on help me out. I'm just going brain dead.
From Friday New Blood? You mean Diana Burrows?
No, not that Maddie. She played on a TV series. Oh, her name is escaping me at the moment. I feel like such an idiot.
Oh.
Maybe I can pull it up. Danica McKellar. That's who it was.
Okay.
And she played one of the main Inspector Mom, and it was really quite a fun little show. I'm sure it's online, and I really did. I liked it. It was a good show to play on.
And you get to be in Freddy's Nightmare, so being part of Friday the 13th and of course Freddy Krueger, you got kind of the best of both worlds.
I know. I think that I'm the only actor that has worked with both of the characters.
Tiffany Helm did.
So there was one more?
Yeah, she was in part 5, A New Beginning. She was the punk girl. Yeah, she was. She gave birth to Freddy, I guess, and Nightmare series.
Well, that's. I didn't know that. So okay. So then there's 2 of us that have done both. But yeah, what a terrifically fun show. That to me, the Freddy's Nightmares were my version of doing a Twilight Zone. That's kind of how I like to look at it.
Yeah.
Very similar.
What was your experience like doing Freddy's Nightmares?
Well, there were some tough parts because my character saw herself dead and was in a morgue and went back and forth. And in one scene, Nancy McLaughlin's husband was shooting it, and in one scene, they have to sew my mouth shut. So using spirit gum and different makeup techniques, of course, they closed my mouth. And then they had to mount the entire camera on top of me in order to get a scene right over my face. And it was fearful. It was like I had to be really calm to try. I couldn't breathe through my mouth, so I had to be incredibly calm and not panic that however many tons of camera wasn't going to fall on my chest and kill me. So that in itself was a little startling, but what a fun show. I loved it. I had a blast. Had a blast.
Yeah, I interviewed Nancy McLaughlin. She said some great things about you. So you 2 are really good friends, huh?
We are pretty good friends. She gave me an incredible necklace of a Jason that she had made. She had handmade them, and I just love to wear it whenever I get the chance. So, that was really cool. And yeah, I would say that we're pretty good friends. Actually, keep in touch with her as much as I can.
Well, before we talk about your actor's audition thing, because I definitely want to dive into that, I want to bring up something here because I had Nancy on, and we're having a conversation, and she engaged with me on something. Do you remember a couple of years ago they had the Ice Bucket Challenge?
Oh, yes, I do.
Yeah. Well,
cold.
Huh?
It was very cold.
I didn't do the Ice Bucket Challenge. I wasn't even challenged for it. But after Robin Williams had passed away, there was another campaign came out called Doubtfire Face. And yeah, it's for suicide and depression and to raise awareness for it.
Okay.
Yeah. And I've never been suicidal, but I've been hit with depression a number of times in my life. And I'm going to tell you, it is something a lot of people don't understand.
They don't understand it. I've also dealt with it. I think most of us in the creative field deal with it. And I also, I think that it's just a condition that goes across so many different variables of people. And it's a condition that once you're in it, you don't know how to get out of it, and people around you might not understand it if they've never dealt with it. So,
well, the Doubtfire Face campaign involved, based on something that Robin Williams did in Mrs. Doubtfire, it involved taking a pie in the face, and you nominate 3 people. And I did this, and I sent the nominations out to people I interviewed. And Lisa Langlois, who's an actress from Canadian Actors, she accepted my challenge, and she did one. I was so grateful to her that I responded to her by donating to one of her charities as my way of saying thanks. And I brought it up to Nancy McLaughlin, and she goes, wow, when I was in London, England on vacation, they were talking about this on the news.
Oh my gosh.
And Nancy was so into it, she wanted to bring all the people from Jason Lives together in Los Angeles and do a group one because she thought that would tie in good with the movie's 30th anniversary. Plus, these movies appeal to young people, and they're the most accessible to depression and suicide.
Absolutely. Right. Oh, no, am I about to get a pie in the face?
Well, Nancy accepted the challenge, and I remember, she's 4 hours behind me, and I get up at 4 o'clock to go to work because, I like to leave work early, so I get there early, leave work early, and my phone buzzed, and I thought it was my younger brother asking me about something, and I looked on the phone, and it was a text from Nancy McLaughlin saying, "I got the video up. I got it done." And she could not wrangle people together for it because it was a Halloween at the time, and she didn't let that dawn on her, so she was unable to wrangle people, but that didn't stop her from doing it. And what she did, a beautiful presentation where she had props from the movie, like the poster, the coffin that C.J. Graham came out of, the tombstone, and she had all this stuff up there that as her background for it, and she took she took a cake in the face. I guess that was her idea, but she took a cake in the face, and she sent the challenge out, and she called me the next day, and we had a conversation. She asked me how it was, and I said, you did a beautiful job. I know she wants to do an edited version of it, but quite frankly, the one that she did was just beautiful, and she's got such a sense of humor. And I said,
she does. She has an incredible sense of humor, and she's just like that all the time.
And I said to her, "What's your charity?" And I said, "I'll donate to your charity in your honor." And she said, "Lisbeth House. Which is for a charity for women and children that need shelter." And so I made a donation to that. It's my way of saying thank you,
Sure.
Yeah. And I was asking her.
My goodness.
I asked her in the interview about people that she thought would be up to doing this, and your name came up, and I said, "Do you think Lar would do it?" She goes, "I think she's up for anything."
She knows I like to pull pranks on other people, so she's trying to get me back.
Well, it is for a good cause, and I would never push you to do it, but you can shoot it on an iPhone, and it'd be something great to just do with your students, But
I'll have all of my students throw a pie in my face.
Well, you just have to take one pie in the face, and you nominate 3 people, and I would encourage you to nominate at least one person from the industry, because we want to get the industry involved. Right now, I've got Deborah Shelton from Body Double. She's going to do it as well.
Okay, yes. Well, has anybody nominated Kane?
Not yet.
Okay, well there it goes. I mean, I can make Kane do almost anything.
Okay, so you're accepting the challenge?
I will accept the challenge. Can it be any flavor of a pie?
Any flavor of pie, as long as it's a cream pie.
Oh, good. Hey, if it makes my blonde hair look blonder, I guess I could do that.
You know what Deborah Shelton's going to do?
No?
Deborah Shelton said she wants to get all, I don't want people to ruin clothes or anything, but she is so into this, she wants to get dressed up all fancy, because she said that's what makes a joke funny for her, because she's been pied before, as she told me, but she said that she wants to nominate one of the Beverly Hills housewives, And she's totally up for it, and so I've had some takers on this, and when the video's done, I can put it up on my YouTube site, and as a response, Lar, I will donate to one of your charities.
Well, I think that is amazing. My favorite charity is Feeding America.
What is it?
Yeah, I think we have enough hungry people here in America. There's no reason we should have one hungry person. And in fact, the studio, we just raised $1,000 for a local food pantry. It's literally down the street.
Okay.
We did it last week. And, oh, man, okay. Well, so now I've got to figure out how to make my pie in the face look as good as theirs.
Well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to send you Nancy's challenge because I know she was.
Let me see it.
Because she wanted you to see it. Yeah. But, yeah, I will donate to that charity for you as my way of saying thank you. It's my way of showing my thanks for you doing this. Because, yeah, and so many young people, I think, would respond to this because, you know, you're a major fixture in Friday the 13th, and I think that would be a very positive thing.
You know, I think anything that's fun and can bring awareness to something, you know, I've gone through stage 3 breast cancer.
I've heard that, yes.
Surgery, chemo and radiation. And people often ask me, you know, how I just literally got through it, including losing my health insurance in the middle of chemo. And what I had to really say is one of my phrases is this too shall pass.
It
just
does.
Meaning that, you know, if you just wait a little bit, the boat will kind of right itself in the water. It will right itself, and it will pass. It will pass one way or the other. If you have pain, you know, I get migraines. If you have pain, or if you have an illness that disturbs you and gives you difficulty, just wait it out a little bit, and it will pass, and it will get better. And you know, there's even a campaign, It Gets Better, which is for the gay and lesbian community, for people that are bullied. And it's really about this kind of giving those really dark times a little space to pass over.
Do you want me to tell you a little story? When I found this a couple times when I've gotten depressed. One of the things that helps me, I come from a Christian household, so I get a lot of my friends to pray for me. That helps. But I find, you know, I watch movies in a lot of ways that relate to what I'm going through, and that kind of helps.
Oh, okay, yeah.
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 Oh, I remember I had my heart broken, and I watched High Fidelity starring John Cusack. Must have been every night for like 3 months, you know. And but I remember one, like, it would be the hardest getting up in the morning. That would be the hardest. But I remember there was one morning I woke up and the pain was gone. And the second time I got hit with depression, it was bad, but I knew that day was going to come where I was going to wake up and I was going to feel fine. It was just a matter of it coming.
It is, and especially if you've gotten through it at least once, you know you can do it again.
Oh yeah.
And that's the key. That's the key, because we're all fighting so many different things just in our daily lives. We really are, and we just have to keep trying. We just have to keep going every day. Just perspective, humor, and hopefully having some people you trust that you can lean on. You know, I think that's key. Being social, having people around you is really key.
Well, I thank you so much for accepting the Doubtfire challenge. I think it will be funny when you do this. But yeah, you can nominate Kane. Go right ahead. Nominate 3 people. Nominate 3 from the industry if you want to, you know.
Oh, man, I'm going to think about this one a little bit. You know,
yeah.
Kane's going to have to be at the top. I'll have to send him a note. And, you know, he's got Scares That Cares, which also is a favorite charity of mine. And so, yeah, I'm going to have to really put some thought into that. You know, we might could even bring in John Beekler, the director. I think that would be pretty funny.
Sure.
To have him do it. I think R.A. Lehman, first Jason, might jump on the bandwagon.
I've been trying to get Adrienne King to do it, and I can't seem. Yeah, I know I challenged her. I think she said something about being. I don't know whether she has the ability to film it or whatnot. And I think you just have to do it through an iPhone. But I'd love to get Adrienne King to do it. And another one, That
would be fun, and it would be fun to get Ari Gross to jump in and do it.
There you go.
Such a great career in television.
And Melanie Kinnaman's another one that I'd like to see do it too. And a lot of these people, it's a matter of them having time too, because I know Melanie responded positively, but it's a matter, I don't want to harass them, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, sometimes you get a lot of requests, and then you have to kind of define which ones you can actually do.
Well, I think Adrienne King would definitely be big if she did do it, you know, because she was the original heroine, you know.
Exactly, and she's a ton of fun. She's an absolute ton of fun. You know, we recently had a lot of the heroines together at a convention that we did, and it would be fun to, I mean, it would be great fun for us all to do it at one of the conventions.
Well, that would be fun, yeah.
If I'd known, I would have thought of it. So I will kind of put that at the back of my mind and try to get one of my assistants to help me remember that we're going to try to plan that, and have to probably include some hairdressers to fix our hair when it's done.
Well, you know what? I'll send you mine. The one I did is like 8 minutes long. I'm not that good on camera, but I did it. But I don't know, like. But when Lisa Langlois did hers was 40 seconds, and hers was perfect. I wish mine was that quick, And Nancy McLaughlin's was like between 3 and 4 minutes, and hers was just beautifully done.
Time.
Yeah, like I was drawing names out of a hat, which people I interviewed at the time, but to see who would do it, and I threw it out to a couple Canadian actresses in particular. One was Lisa. But I was happy that Nancy accepted, and I'm very happy that you accepted. And yes, I will donate to one of your charities as my thank you for that,
Well, that just sounds great. So we will put that on the list. I've got a little Post-it note here, and then I will send it to you when it is done.
Yeah. But we got to talk about your actors thing, because I see you post all the time, and you're making so many progressive stuff with that. And I've watched some of the stuff you've done, and I'll let you take it from here. Explain what it is you do with that.
Well, I started in acting all on my own. I didn't come from money. I was an Army brat, always an Army brat, moving around quite a bit, and my dream of being an actor was from the age of 3rd grade, when I could really describe what I wanted to do. And so I really built my career all on my own. I didn't know anyone in the industry. And then I decided to write a book called Get Started, Not Scammed, which you can get through Amazon or through the site itself. And it's a book trying to help people, artists, creatives, get going in their business and how to look out for the scams that are out there. And there's so many. And teach them just to, close their wallets and use their common sense. And a scam can really cause someone to lose their heart, dream, all of their goals, their money. So I wrote that book so that I could speak on it and teach and give it to people. But all along, even as a young actor, I was coaching others. So I own Actors Audition Studios. Our base location is Dallas. I also work out of Paris, France, where my daughter lives, and Los Angeles. And I coach and career coach. And I don't work with hobby actors or that type. I work mostly with professionals or those that want it as a career. And we're creating some pretty cool careers in here. Things are really happening. I've had Major Dodson, on American Horror Story and Walking Dead, and Dalton Gray on American Horror Story, and quite a few great actors. So that I'm in my studio right now, and that's, I guess you would call that my day job.
I'm glad you're in your studio, because I would not have gotten a hold of you. I don't know what was going on with the phone here tonight, but I'm so glad I was able to get you on here. But yeah, I've seen on your Facebook page a lot of your posts, and I was like, you're really making stuff happen. You're making you're helping these young folks realize some dreams that it is reachable,
right.
Because hearing,
dreams are reachable, and it just takes a solid plan. I think hopefully if you can find a mentor and someone that actually knows what they're doing and can give you a solid plan, you can make some dreams happen, and you can do all kinds of. You can create and live out things that you want to do. In my book, I have 100 different careers that are behind the camera. And sometimes you might find that you just want to be in the industry, and that's awesome too. So like today, I had a young model in here, and I was working with her, guiding her towards, let's look at some acting, let's look at some commercials, let's see how you can extend your career. And we discovered she loved sports newscasting. I was like, great, I have another student that went into that. And so we had a way to base off of wanting to kind of be in the industry of the biz, but yet maybe not be an actor. So there are a lot of ways to find the careers that you want to do. And with a little thinking and some planning and, kind of mapping out where you want to go, you can make so many things happen. And that is very exciting. It's a huge passion of mine.
I'll tell you, too, because here in Canada, like, I was just watching Black Christmas the other night, and I've interviewed a couple of people from it. I remember back in the day, we used to get some great Canadian films shot here in Canada. Now,
Right.
due to the government, it's hard to get any Canadian films, not just made, but even released at a worldwide level. And and I noticed it just becomes even harder even for a lot of these independents as well.
Oh, I didn't know that. Well, that is hard. I mean, in that case, you'd have to work on some training and getting your stuff really tight, and then hopefully making some moves and auditioning for things outside of the area. I guess my best advice for actors that are in a situation where there's not a lot of work, which is what I was as an Army brat, is to just keep training, plan, and know how you can work with someone that maybe could, I have something called Hollywood Highway, where we go to LA. I take a group a couple times a year where we actually shoot their demos, and they study all over Los Angeles. They learn what immersion is like out there to have the life of an actor. And when you go to the website, you can look there's a link called Talent, and you can look at the different demos that we've shot. They're about a minute long, and little commercials of them, little 1 minute kind of personality slates, get an idea of what we do. So the key is to really be studying in a studio that really understands the actual business itself, and knows what it's doing, where the coaches and people are on IMDb. They've got a good work history, I think is really important. I'll have students come in sometimes for just VIP days. They'll fly in. I have people drive in from other states every week for their classes, but sometimes they'll just meet me in LA. But sometimes people will come in and just book a full day or a half day, and they'll stay for 3 or 4 days, and we get a lot of work done. We get a lot of shooting done, a lot of training done, and it gives them a jump start. Really gives them a way to see that it's possible. And then I teach them how to go about getting cast and getting the auditions. Because with the internet today, you can do so much. And try to stay away from scammy things. Things that just promise a lot, but they're not offering a lot of education. So I would say that's a big passion of mine.
I gotta wonder how many of your students are going to get you in their film.
Well, this summer I saw with Colton Tapp. I had trained him for an audition for an incredible film, science fiction called Expulsion, where he played himself, and he played several versions of himself.
Okay.
And then the producers found out that I was his coach, and they were huge fans, and asked if I'd like a role. And I'm like, well, actually, yes, I like the scientist role here. So I actually I was coaching Colton through the show, because it was really a difficult piece to play several versions of yourself. And then I also got to star as a really evil, difficult, cold character who had been reduplicated several times, and it was great fun. It was a lot of work, and it was great fun. So that, but now, I'd love to be on Walking Dead. I'd be a zombie. I'd be anything on Walking Dead. So, but I think a lot of people would like that gig.
You know what? I had a hard time getting back into Walking Dead after season 3, because they killed off Sarah Wayne Callie and Lon Holden both in the same season. I'm like, Please leave the cute girls alone.
Yeah, that was tough. That was tough. I often get told that her real name Andrea, Laurie Holden.
Yeah.
That I look a lot like her. That we look like we could be sisters.
You do kind of look alike.
Yeah. Yeah, we do kind of look alike. But of course, having my students in episode 5 and 6, I think, is when Major came in. That has just given me just as much fun as it would have been for me to do it myself. So that was pretty exciting.
I'm kind of seeing an idea here. You can get your students to shoot the alternate part 8.
Hey, yeah.
You could be Tina, and you get to throw stuff around again.
Now that would be fun. Maybe I'll be Tina and throw the pie in my face. I don't know. We'll have to see.
Oh, there you go. Tina does comedy.
Who said a pie in your face is funny?
Well, I'm going to tell you, growing up, I used to love watching Nickelodeon and stuff like that. And I often joked with somebody, I said, I'd much rather watch a pie fight scene than a sex scene in movies. Because sex scenes, they just get so interchangeable. But pie,
Right.
you watch The Great Race, and one of the funniest things about it is seeing Natalie Wood, as elegant as she is, she got plastered head to toe with pies. And they had several actors in that, but she stood out because it's Natalie Wood.
Well, of course. Yeah, absolutely. Put her at the top of the list. Absolutely.
So I always loved that kind of humor. And I remember when I originally pitched the Doubtfire challenge, I was hoping I could get it to go. I didn't start it. Somebody else did. But I liked Robin Williams. I felt bad about that. And I thought, well, the Ice Bucket Challenge really did something for ALS. If people did stuff like this every year, could you imagine what it would do for charities?
Yeah, if people really like what's going on and they participate, it's a lot of fun. The boxes that people buy, like one of my cameramen that works a lot in my studio, Casey Corpier, he came to the house once and had me stand there as he opened a Friday the 13th horror box, that he received, and he does a lot of blogging, and of course it was so much fun when people saw me pop up, just kind of like, oh, well, let me see what's in the box. It's like, wait a minute, where'd this come from, So that was really fun, and it can make a difference, and it can add to the event, definitely.
I have to ask you, you mentioned conventions earlier, and I can't believe it slipped my mind, but I've asked this of people I've had on here before. Your experience at the conventions, you ever have anything really odd or interesting that you've been asked to sign?
Well, we're asked to sign a lot of things. Body parts are usually unusual and kind of draw the line at that. But I did have a fan recently come running up at me with a machete, made me a little nervous. But then as he got closer, of course, just signed a really, really cool drawn-on designed machete, which was a lot of fun. I really love meeting the fans, especially when you get a family that's a fan of so many different shows you've done. That is super awesome. But I guess body parts are probably the most unusual.
You get people, like I've heard this before, like I know Carolyn Monroe mentioned this to me, and I can't remember who else, but I know Tom Matthews of Jason Lives mentioned this too. He'll sign somebody's part of their body, and they'll get the signature tattooed on them.
Yeah, they will. It is unusual to have someone come up and have your face actually tattooed on their body. I would say that's kind of unusual and a little shocking, but if that's what they want to do, then that's what they want to do. So
they've had your face tattooed on them?
I have, yeah, I have, and at first it's just a little strange. I get a lot of marriage proposals, but you just you never know. Hey, I'm single, I'm looking, but it's kind of fun to have marriage proposals happen when you're working like that.
Actually, I got a funny story for you. Melanie Kinnaman was saying this. I talked to her quite a bit, and she was saying that on Internet Movie Database, I think it was, they had her listed as married, and she says, "Would somebody change that? I'm single."
I tell you that it can just make it so hard. It's like. Yes, definitely accepting marriage proposals, right? Someone between 45 and 55, single and straight, would probably be a good place to start.
Yeah, well, I gotta say, the Friday women have aged very, very well. You're all very, very beautiful, I think. And
thank you.
Frankly,
that's very nice of you to say. We don't have anything to do with it. It's just jeans and great lighting. But I'll take all the credit I can get. Hey, I know who would be fun for the challenge that I can ask, and that would be Felissa Rose.
Who's that?
Who has, done everything. She has a great sense of humor, and she's just a lot of fun. So I think we'd have to nominate her.
Who's she? Who's Felissa Rose?
Felissa Rose has, oh my gosh, she's done, now of course at the moment I've got to sit here and think about it. She has done so many different things. Let me see right here real quick. I'll pull her up. She and I actually did the it was the New York Halloween parade one year together, which was crazy stuff. She did sleepaway camp back in the day.
I remember that.
Yeah, a lot of scary movies. She's mostly known for that, and the Undead, and a couple of other things. And really fun character, really fun gal. So.
Yeah. No, I wanted to see what I could do to make that challenge go viral, because people want to see people in the industry do it. I remember when I started out, one of my aims was to get Emma Stone to do it, because I'm a big Emma Stone fan. But that might be a little out of my range. But I'm like, jeepers, if I didn't realize a couple of years ago I was going to be talking to you on the phone. So, I've been reviewing movies since 1996, and I started here at the station in 2005, but we didn't start podcasting until about the last few years. And my first interview was in April of 2015 with Tommy Wiseau of The Room.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
Oh, it's a notoriously bad film, but that's part of the fun of the movie, is that it's bad.
Well, and that happens.
Well, James Franco is supposed to play Tommy in a movie based on the book on the making of The Room. Right. And Tommy Wiseau is just a bizarre character. And that was my first interview. And I remember after I interviewed him, I was sitting at home and I was thinking, who else could I interview? And I remember the first two people I reached out to was Adrienne King and Lisa Langlois. And Lisa Langlois took a little bit, but she got back to me, and she came on the show. But Adrienne King got back to me right away, and I couldn't believe it, and I had her come on in May of 2015, and I haven't reviewed a film on here in so long. I still do it, but I love doing these podcast interviews because it allows me an opportunity to interview people that people would know from different films. I like to appeal to the midnight crowd because they're always the most involved.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah, and it also allows me to promote movies that I don't think got a proper push. Like, I went and saw the movie Everybody Wants Some 9 times this year, and I loved it. And I did a couple of interviews from that, and it was just fun to interview a couple of people and know that when that goes on my YouTube channel, I get to promote that movie, And Tommy Hudson, of course, directed a movie called The Id with Amanda Wyss. And I had them both on here, and the Id didn't even get past the circuit there, like the film festival circuit. And I watched it, and I loved it, And I got a couple of interviews from that film, and it's kind of nice to take some of these films from the past or even the recent past and just kind of put them out there front row and center and say, remember this, or you should check this out, because so many movies out there today are based on hype, and it could bury smaller stuff. Right. Yeah. So, and I think it's a great thing you're doing with the actors thing. I think you're. I really hope that your class of talents will make it big and do some great stuff, and even some original stuff, and maybe some Lar Park Lincoln starring roles.
Well, you just never know. We shoot some stuff here in the studio. We just won a best film, best actor, and then we won an award in the Los Angeles Festival for a little short we did called 2% Evil, and it's a lot of fun. I don't know if it's on YouTube or not yet, but really, really fun little horror piece we did right here in the studio, written and produced by Colton. So he and I work together quite a bit. We've been working on funding of different films. So there's a lot of production and things that go on here along with our careers. I just got a text that my assistant's in New York auditioning for, she left this morning at 6 a.m. To New York to audition for some cool stuff. So you just never know. I mean, I love making dreams happen, and I always just love to tell people I'll see them in the movies.
You say you've been all over. You have any favorite places you've been?
Well, I do love France and Paris, which is where my daughter lives. So I would say I love that quite a bit. I've been to London, and really any place that's got a beach is going to be my favorite spot. I ended up coming to Texas because I had some family and wanted my kids in some really good schools that I knew here, and they got through college. And so I'm pretty much, I guess we'd call it the third coast, Texas, and then the West Coast, LA. But I love St. Kitts, which is an island, pretty amazing island.
Okay.
And I actually love Hawaii. And Jennifer Banco, who played me as Little Me in Friday the 13th, she and I have connected again together, and she's from Hawaii. So I'd like to zip over there and see her.
Isn't it kind of funny that she look at you and say, "Gee, you're me"?
I look at her and say, "Gee, you're me." We haven't gotten to appear together yet. We'd love to do that. That would really be fun. We have a great agent that sends masks and photos to each of us to sign, and fans can get them signed by both of us, which is really cool. And we have fun doing that. But we're looking forward to getting to appearing together, because she was really small when she played me.
Oh, yeah. Yep, yeah, she was. So, but she collapsed that dock. So.
Yeah, I know. So that's a pretty cool story. But
and of course, you rose Jason from the lake too. Something you probably shouldn't have done, but
probably shouldn't have. But I don't think it was my intention. So what can you say?
I often wondered too. Jason did not do anything to you after you fainted. He just came out of the water. You kind of got to wonder.
No, he didn't. I mean, there was only one time he ever actually touched me in the entire film, which was on one of my shoulders. So it's really hard to get shots of us actually right together in the film, because Tina kept him very much at an arm's length.
Well, yeah, if she was capable of doing that, of course.
Yeah, so... Mm-hmm.
Well, Lar, it was wonderful having you on here this evening. We're almost approaching down 90 minutes.
Yes.
But you know what? My longest interview was 2 hours, so I usually go an hour. But when I get somebody as wonderful as you on the phone, I love to just let you talk and share your information.
Well, I appreciate it. It's really nice. Like I said before, it's just really nice to be able to connect with people that you don't know, and hopefully you've made some kind of an impact in their life. I really enjoy and appreciate that, and not doing very many podcasts anymore, just picking a few here and there, and looking forward to the copy of this and getting you some photos and I guess some video footage. And you send me that one of Amy. And if you want to send me a radio logo or something, I'll go ahead and I'll post it on Facebook that we have this chat, because I really enjoyed it, and I hope your listeners enjoy it when they get to hear it also.
One of Amy. Who's Amy?
I was thinking Amy Osbeck, but it wasn't Amy. It was Nancy.
Nancy, yeah.
Video.
Well, I was going to say too. Like I said, I'm only on live once a week, and I got to play episode 51 this week, and you're number 68. So I asked, please, for your patience, because this might not air until next spring.
Oh, Okay, no problem. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm into hibernation in the cold anyway. So.
Well, I heard from somebody sent me a message tonight and asked. She thought I might have wrote off the interview, and I said no, I would never do that. It's just I'm only on once a week, and I love doing this. Yours is going to play in 2 parts when it does, because I'm only on an hour. But when I send it out to you, I'll send it out as all one link, and then.
Okay.
It'll be on the CHSR site for I don't know, maybe about 3 months or something like that, and then it's going to go to my YouTube site, which is where its new home will be. So, and I'll definitely link that to you so that you can, you can put it on your webpage. You can put it anywhere you want to put it.
Well, thank you. I just appreciate it so much. And please feel free to stay in touch and go listen to my Scream on the store site. It's a lot of fun. The download of the Scream is hysterical, and I'll just I guess maybe I'll just see you in the movies.
And I want to say this too. Thank you so much for accepting the Doubtfire challenge. I will send you Nancy's Doubtfire challenge. She mentions in it that she was challenged by me. But I'm looking forward to seeing yours. I don't want to hassle you about it. So when do I check in with you about that?
Well, I'm shooting a bunch of stuff this week because I'm shooting a home study program for actors that can't come in and study with me. I'm actually shooting a course for my own acting study. So I don't know. If I think about it, I'll just try to have a pie around. But you better give me a little while. It might be a little while before I get it done.
Okay. But if I send you an email and I check in with you every once in a while, because I hate to hassle people, but but
it's appreciated. I mean, you got to do it to stay at the top of my email list. So.
Yep. And I'm looking forward to seeing you do this. Have you ever been taken a pie in the face before?
Only in an acting class, in a very long time ago.
Oh.
I have to see how that works. I don't really even remember doing it, but I imagine I have.
Well, I think it's great that you've accepted that challenge, and I seriously think that, especially young people that love those movies, I think your video will get a lot. I remember when Lisa did it; her video got 500 hits within a week.
Oh my goodness!
So I could just imagine what yours will get, especially with all the Friday the 13th fans out there. I guarantee you, especially you nominating Kane Hodder and Adrian King or whoever it is you're going to nominate, and
right.
I think that could make a difference for depression and suicide, and maybe give some hope to people. And and if people want to donate to something, it can either be the American or Canadian Foundation of Suicide Prevention.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Good deal.
Yeah.
Well, it's just been wonderful chatting with you, and I'll let you go. And just thank you very much for being interested in staying in touch. And I have to give a little shout out to my biggest fan in Canada, John Wood.
Okay.
Who I adore. He's one of my favorite fans. He draws me for every event. He's an artist.
Well, he's got beautiful taste then.
Yeah, well, he does a lot of fun drawings, and I hope to have a fun surprise of all his drawings on my site soon. So he's my great Canadian fan.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm one of your Canadian fans as well. And before you go, would you please do a plug for my show?
Yeah. How do you want me to say it? Which one? How do you want it said?
Just say your name, and if you want to, say you played Tina in Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. And just say you're listening to Greg Gilbert. That's my real name, and my show's called Python's Paradise. Python like the snake, and mention it's in New Brunswick, Canada.
Oh goodness, New Brunswick, Canada.
Yeah, because I know there's a New Brunswick in Maine, so I got to mention Canada just so people. Nobody knows where we are here,
That's okay. Let me give this a whirl. Ready?
Sure. Go.
All right. Hi, this is Lar Park Lincoln, Tina from Friday the 13th, visiting with host Greg Gilbert of Python Paradise, which is, let me try that again. Hi, this is Lar Park Lincoln. Hi, this is Lar Park Lincoln, Tina from Friday the 13th, Visiting today with Greg Gilbert of Python Paradise. This show is taped out of New Brunswick, Canada, and coming to you on a weekly basis. I can't wait for you to stop by, listen to Greg and I, and have a screaming, terrifyingly good time.
Thank you so much, Lar. Lar, I love you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I'll send you stuff on the Doubtfire challenge and Nancy's
right.
video, and we'll keep in touch about that. And if you've got any events that you want promoted in the future, feel free to let me know, and I'll promote them on here.
Okay. Thank you so much, Greg. Have a wonderful night.
God bless you, Lar.
Thank you. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.